Mr. Jones or Jeff, which do you prefer for today?
Well, Mr. Jones is my artist name. Depends on how you're interviewing me, you know?
Alright, sounds good. We'll go, so we'll start off this then. First of all, watching your performance last night, and I told you a bit about that after, you could tell that you had done it before. And just the way you were articulate, I was able to understand every word you were saying. And I don't know if it was difficult or if it's difficult being paired with somebody of the high energy level of Cayenne, but you matched it. And that was incredible, man. So I just want to give you praise for that before we get started.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
That was sick to see.
Yeah.
So,
well, we had a couple runs there, so
yeah.
We formed a recipe and we kind of stick to it and add to it and
Worked out.
modify it as we go.
Yeah, that's sick. So then, with this show being Life After High School and focusing on the aftermath of high school and how everything kind of panned out to where we are now, take us through that transition and how you leaving high school to kind of how we ended up here.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've always been interested in making music. I mean, during high school, I was in a punk band, believe it or not, and still a big Mohawk and stuff. So, so I always liked doing music and was interested into it. And then after high school, I wanted to learn more about the behind the scenes of it, right? Because it's so expensive nowadays to record and to do everything, right? And then so I was like, hey man, what if I just do it myself, right? So then I ended up taking a course in Montreal, Recording Arts Canada.
Oh, cool! Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I already obviously played with a lot of the tools and the softwares to record and to make beats, but going to that school pretty much refined everything and got to know everything, what every knob does individually, right? Rather than just play it by ear,
figure it out. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So then after that, I was always really interested into making music, and then eventually I started hitting up promoters and got onto different shows and opening for bigger acts, and then I just told myself, I'm like, hey man, I'm selling tickets, I'm like, if these guys are doing it, why don't I just set up my own shows and get other people to do this, kind of level up, you know what I mean? And then so that's pretty much what I did, and then since then it's just been going good,
Yeah, where's your favorite place you've probably performed before? When you say most successful performance, what does that make you think of?
Successful performance. Well, I mean, definitely. There's a lot of different aspects to it, it depends on how you want to look at it, but I mean, obviously crowd reaction, and when people come talk to you afterwards and they're like, wow, that was amazing, or,
nice.
Definitely when people gas you up, it's nice, right? So,
for sure.
But favorite performance, it's hard to say. I could talk about the venue, how the nicest venue, or I don't know, that's a difficult question sometimes. Whichever one is, sometimes you do performance and it opens doors for you.
Right.
Someone will come to you and be like, hey man, example, I met you and now we're doing this podcast. You know what I mean?
Sick.
It just opens doors sometimes, and that's definitely a productive performance, when you get open doors out of it. So I think that's pretty good.
Nice. So where did Mr. Jones come from? Where did that kind of stem from? Do you create it at the beginning, or is that something that kind of came to fruition as you kind of started to go out on your own?
Well, starting out, I was really more on the production side, and I wanted to start a whole team and bring a whole team with me.
Nice, that's cool.
But then I realized that a lot of people, they won't really take me serious if I don't have any credentials, right?
Right, smart.
So then, I did sign a couple artists, but they're kind of clowning me, and they're not really taking me serious. So that's when I realized I was like, okay, man, I'm not wasting my time anymore with these people, and I'm just gonna do my own thing, And then after that, obviously from writing music, I use it as a form of therapy to, get my thoughts out of my mind, because those thoughts, when they're trapped in your mind, you can drive someone crazy, or you know what I mean. So I really I started writing lyrics, and then I started recording. And certain songs, some people hit me up and this certain song helped me get through a hard time in my life.
Nice.
So then after that I realized that I'm not only making music for myself anymore, I'm making music for a bigger cause, And
it's relatable.
And exactly right. So at that point, it was such a blessing to get that type of response, right?
Nice.
So then ever since then, I was like, okay, well, that's it. I'm just trying to help people out, you know.
Do you have like a specific example of somebody reaching out and saying, this is what I was going through, how they were able to relate to it? If you can remember?
Well, there was a guy from Newfoundland, and like I guess he was like into he's like alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. And like I actually we toured through Newfoundland, and I had met this guy, and we spoke a bit, and I was just pretty much like motivating him and explaining to him that like, hey man, like you could do this too, man. Anyone could do this. Just put your mind to it, and you know anything's possible. And then like, so after that, like a couple months later, that he reached out to me. He's like, yo man, like thanks for that. Like I'm sitting on my own shows now, you know. Like I'm able to make a bit of money, and I could provide for my family now, you know. So like, I'm like that's such a blessing, you know, to be able to help someone, you know, believe in themselves and to, you know, to get somewhere they want, like, reach their goals, you know.
That's huge. Wow, yeah, that must have felt pretty good. Pretty good, yeah.
True.
So, I wanted to know, because of all the things I heard, and everything was catchy last night, right? There was a lot of good stuff I heard, but 24/7, what inspired that? It seems obvious, but I'd like to know your side. To it.
Well, I mean, it all started in the studio, and I work with a DJ. I mean, I'm obviously I could do all my own engineering, but like I like to work with my partner DJ Wildkid when it comes to working in the studio. True, shout out DJ Wildkid. So pretty much he just I find in the studio alone it's not, you know, something. Sometimes he'll play a beat and it'll spark my you know, my creativity right away. Nice. So then sometimes like, he'll just start a beat, and then he'll tweak my presets for the vocals on the microphone, and then so I think I kind of freestyled half the hook or something like that, you know, and I was like, oh, and that's kind of worked on it, and then freestyled a bit of like the verse, and then like, okay, the idea's there, then we just, you know, put the meat on the skeleton, and then after that it just came out. But I mean, in regards to the topic, like I make a lot of songs to like to motivate myself or to motivate others, obviously, and I write songs that, you know, that relate to me as well. So this song is pretty much, you know, 24/7. It's about going hard and you know, just not giving up and just giving it your all. Nice. And then like, because I always tell people, you know, chances are if you're sitting down playing video games, well, the next day you might be doing the same thing, you know. But if you're out there and you're grinding and you're doing stuff, well, then the next day, well, you're gonna get advancements and you're gonna, you know. So it's for a lot of these songs just to, you know, remind myself to go hard every day, you know. Yeah,
it kind of forces you to lead by example or take your own advice, kind of thing.
True.
Which is cool.
True.
For sure.
Like I have this other song, like I was going through like a rough breakup, right? And then this one song I wrote it, and the title of the song is "You're Not the One for Me," you know. And then I basically listened to the song a couple of times, and I just, you know, I was like, damn, man, this guy's right, man. This girl's not the one for me, you know. But in reality, it was myself talking to me. You know?
Took yourself out of that, and you were able to learn from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. So,
thanks.
Yeah, dude, there was a so you're probably familiar with it. There's that quote per se where Dr. Dre spent, like, he was in such a creative flow state. I know Kyan knows it as well, but where he spent 79 hours, I believe it was 79 or 73, in the studio, just going on the creative process.
24/7, man.
Yeah, that's it. And to that point, I guess he was in a flow state, and then he's like, no sleep, like it's the vibe's going, it's flowing. I can't just stop here. It's got to ride this out. What do you do to create that type of experience in the studio to reach those elite levels of the creative process?
Definitely working with like-minded people and people who you know have the same goals and objectives. You know, it definitely helps push. I'm an artist, but I'm also a producer, so sometimes I'll bring artists and record their songs and stuff. So sometimes if I'm not so motivated, well then I'll hear them making a banger, but like, wow, I want to top that. I want to do something sick, or maybe I want to do a song with this guy. You know what I mean?
It's competition too.
Well, not really competition, but more like, you know, just keep pushing the whole scene and the whole.
As a group.
Yeah, okay, you know what I mean. So
not against the other person in the studio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a little bit in competition because I'm in competition with myself. You know what I mean? I want that last song Then I went to the new song to be a little bit better than the last song, you know, like trying to keep pushing my limits, right?
Right, that makes
Push
sense,
it to the limit.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. That's so you guys, I met you the other day on your Almost Famous tour, correct?
True, yeah.
So that's cross Canada everything. And I drove by you guys in, I think it was Regina or Calgary somewhere. Kai was mentioning to me a week ago. And how did that, like, take me through that, man? How'd that whole thing kind of get started to, you're still going.
True.
You guys are still going. It's insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like, I was planning this before COVID, right? And I think there was like 3 or 4 months we were supposed to be on the road, but then obviously COVID hit hard, and then so everything had to be postponed. Yeah. A lot of other artists that are touring, they just canceled their tour. I was like, I wasn't trying to hear it. I was like, I'm doing it anyway, and I was like, but then like I started seeing posts about venues being shut down. I was like,
yeah, that was.
So I'm doing it anyways. I'll do it in the street if I have to. You know, so
you just want to perform.
I'm hard-headed, right?
Yeah,
so like usually if I want something, I'm gonna go and push to get it done.
That's how you get it done, though. Yeah.
Right. So then when I started seeing that, I started rebooking right away in September, and like just kind of guessing that it's gonna be over by then.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, right. But then it started getting closer, and then like things opened up a bit more. I was like, okay, so it just kind of worked out. Yeah. And then like come closer to the dates, like I hit Kyle, I'm like, yo, let's do this. He's like, you're savage, man. I'm like, let's do it. I'm like, let's do it. So then we just kept booking as we went along, and then we didn't get all of Canada this time because, well, obviously because of COVID, but like also because winter is hitting soon, and we're the East Coast and
driving through that in the winter.
Yeah, so I mean, so that could be a little bit rough. Yeah. But it's been very it's been a challenge, obviously, because a lot of these venues the regulations are changing every month, you know.
Yeah.
So then we had to, rebook as we went because a lot of the venues were shut down. Like the clubs and banquet halls were all shut down in BC, and then like then the bars started closing earlier too. So then we had to like remodify everything and then make sure everything was to their to their guidelines, right? So
right, they're different every city, every province.
Yeah, every venue at that at that point. So I mean, all in all, it's been very, it's been a roller coaster, but like we've been pulling our weight and everything has been fairly successful since the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how you want it to work out, especially during nowadays very uncertain times, and we don't know what tomorrow could bring. Don't we go back like in Sudbury? We go back tomorrow to like indoor dining is now a different number of people you can have. You can only have outdoor dining and takeout, but it's winter, so nobody really wants to sit on the patio in 2-degree weather.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's silly. But we you guys didn't perform anywhere in Manitoba, did you?
No, I don't think so. We were initially supposed to do Brandon, and we were supposed to do Winnipeg. Yeah. So Brandon wasn't trying to hear it. In Winnipeg, we had booked somewhere, but we had booked it on the way back because we went to BC, then on the way back. But on the way back, that's when regulations changed. They shut it down. So we actually lost our Winnipeg show and also our Saskatoon show, which is in Saskatchewan, obviously. Yeah. So those are two that got shut down on the way back. So usually we book it so we only have to drive 6 or a couple hours a day. But then those two shut down, so we have to drive like a good stretch after that, right? So
yeah, it's not a fun stretch either, dude. It's really only the mountains that are semi-enjoyable to drive through, and it's
true.
So long. But there's I asked that because when we went through, because we did 2 weeks out west and back, and it was a blast. But like I know he was on, like you guys were on your way out, slowly making your way out west, and then slowly making your way back, and I remember us going, I think it was, we went on a Saturday, and Thursday my buddy called and said, hey, what's like he called Manitoba the province and said, you guys are on state of emergency, but our trip, we need to go through your province. What do we do? First of all, the guy picked up right away. Super weird. Right? It's like, your province, nobody calling you?
Yeah.
It's like this guy in his 20s. So yeah, I guess he calls him up, and then the guy's like, yeah, you can go through, stop for like a bathroom break, you can fill up a gas, and then leave. You can't just mingle and stay overnight, whatever. We're like, okay, fine. Easy enough to do, right?
True.
Not much to do in Manitoba anyway. Right? there's the bear at the beginning of the province, and that's about it. And then we kind of, as we went through, we stopped once to use the bathroom. We go into this gas station also to fill up, and we have our masks on, right? We're like, we're not, there's a bunch of people here, we're not trying to make this bad. The optics don't look good, because I'm vlogging the whole thing. And nobody's wearing a mask in there. They say, hey, we recommend you wear a mask. So obviously nobody's going to do it. They itch. Like, I have a beard, you guys don't. You guys are clean shaven. You're all proper gentlemen. Not me. I got this like beard. It itches like crazy. Hate wearing masks.
I feel you, man.
But they were, yeah, they weren't, they were judging us pretty hard for that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, like I said, every province has their own guidelines and everything. Like in BC, we were doing shows and like we didn't really need masks. You know, but we had to be sit down and but the music had to be like very low. So it's like, so you don't have to like lean into someone and talk in their ear, right? So you can talk to them across the table. So that's their way of like, you know, the transmission, like, you know. Yeah, it's different mentality, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know,
very
but,
interesting way of thinking about it.
but it is what it is, and like we didn't get really. I mean, we did all those shows, and like there was no inspectors that came in like, hey, we're shutting you down or anything like that. But I mean, like we've heard of stories of stuff like that happening, right?
Yeah.
But I guess we were lucky on this run, but we have like left the province and then like it shut down. You know what I mean? Like
close call every time.
Quebec, yeah, like that's what happened.
Yeah.
Quebec's like red zone, you know. So Ottawa too.
So you grew up on the Gatineau side of Ottawa.
Yeah, well, Gatineau is Quebec, so it's pretty much right on the border. So it's in the Ottawa area, but right across the river, right? So it's Gatineau, Quebec. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Quebec, even though because I went to Algonquin, I lived in Ottawa for 4 years.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So as you can imagine, I was in Quebec all of when I was 18.
True.
You know, so it was a good time. Don't remember much, right? But yeah, because it was always Hull and La Pub and everything there. That was a blast. But I was like, man, I know exactly where you're from. It's border town, and it's like, oh, we're now in Quebec, and then you go over there. It's a cool go back and forth, but it's it's definitely the place to be for school. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of universities there, right?
Yeah.
So and also Ottawa's like capital Canada, right? So
yeah, it's always nice. It's like an interesting spot between like big city feel, but not Toronto big city feel. I can't do Toronto big city.
True. And you just cross over the bridge, and then you feel like you're in a different country because like all the signs change. Like,
yeah, and the lights are now sideways and shit. Dude, that threw me off every time.
Yeah.
I was like, everything's a one way, everything's narrow. I got a buddy who lives in Gatineau, and I stayed with him a few times like a couple years ago. And man, it's narrow streets, everything's sideways. My girlfriend's driving; she's never driven there, so she turns the corner. The lights, why'd they turn side? Driving like this, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. So
yeah, well, you think that's from if you go to like Quebec City or something like that, like the old port or even Montreal, it's all like cobblestone on the ground. It's like it seems it has a very European feel to it, you know.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of people say that like Quebec is like the Europe of Canada. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
True.
I've been to Montreal once when I was like under 10, so I don't remember any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've probably frequented those areas before, eh? Like what are those areas like? You said, like,
I went to school in Montreal actually, but yeah, it's very hectic. I remember the first time driving there. Like I was with my mom, and I had to pull over. I'm like, Mom, you drive. Like the people are crazy. Like,
it's too much.
Big city, you know. But I mean, Toronto's like that too, you know. But like, you know, when you're young, you go there and you're driving. You're not expecting that. And it's crazy drivers, and it's like those highways are pretty intimidating.
Yeah,
especially
lanes,
the
everything
40.
going fast.
It's a very narrow highway when it gets close to the downtown Montreal. It's like transports are just zooming by you.
Nobody cares.
Shaking.
Mom, you want to switch, please?
Yeah, that's it.
So, brother, question for you: how did you and Kyan link up to start the tour? Because it seems like the tour was something you were doing, and then you linked up with him. How did he kind of get in your wheelhouse of being your +1 for this cross Canada tour?
Well, I started touring, man. I started hopping on other people's tours, like Mad Child. I did like 7 dates with him. I did a couple dates with Mercules, with Alpha Omega, and then like I said, I just kind of seen what they're doing. I'm like, yeah, I could do that too. So then I started booking my own shows, my own tours, and then my first tour was along with 401. So that's why I got this tattoo on my arm right here, 401, right?
Nice.
So then, as I'm doing these tours, you know, people are starting to I'm starting to get attention. People are like trying to get on board and whatnot. So then the last tour last year, it was called the Self-Made Self-Pay Tour.
Nice.
And So I had some people that are lined up to come with me to do the tour de sport, right? And then come the day of the tour, like, they all dropped out. You know, like, I can't do it. You got cold feet, not enough money, this and that. So I was like, I spent all winter booking this. I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to cancel this.
Yeah,
you know,
then
again, I'm hard-headed, like I said earlier, right?
Yeah, you're like, I'm going. It's just a matter of who's going with me.
Yeah, I'm just going to figure out as I go how this is going to happen, right? So I go to North Bay, and, you know, every venue set up differently, right? So, like, example, some venues have a door guy, some venues have security, some venues have a sound guy, some venues, you know, some venues have none of that, right? So I get to North Bay, and I'm alone, and, like, I think I met up with this one guy there who was supposed to help me, and he came like super late. So I had to set up the merch. I basically had to do everything, right? So then, like, it was a successful show, but I was running around like a chicken with no head, and like,
you can enjoy that.
You know, people enjoyed themselves, but I didn't really enjoy the show.
Which isn't the point of.
Right? I guess people I kind of sensed that, like, I was feeling that way. So the next show was in Sudbury, and my auntie's from there, you know, and so my cousin was there. So my cousin helped do the merch, and then. So I had a little bit more time to relax and stuff, and then so then Kind comes to me, and in the beginning he's, hey, I just spoke to your Auntie Cher, and she said it might be a good idea to talk to you about you know, hopping on the show. I'm like, hey man, like, he's like, I'll open it for you. I'll open the show. I was like, I'm a guy, do it. Let's go. Let's see what you got.
Let's do it.
He's like, what song? I'm like, okay, fine. So then he ends up he performed the song, and then I just seen like the charisma and the enthusiasm, and like,
it's on a different level.
You know what I mean? It's like nothing like I've seen before, and then just the way that he captivated the crowd and got everyone involved as well. You know, it's like that's the next level of performance. You know, because it's one thing to just stand on stage and to just rap, but it's another thing to entertain, right? And he really had
different thing.
Of course, you know. So like I really seen. I'm like, so then. I asked him, like, hey man, like, do you want to host tonight? You know what I mean? Give me a little break again so I could just DJ and just sit here and chill out because I'd had a rough day the day before, right?
Yeah, and I want to be able to show up for this.
You know? So he's like, yeah, man, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. So like after the show, I'm like packing up everything, and then like he stuck around and he was chatting. And then he's like, yo, I'll go on tour with you. I was like, yeah, because I was talking to the sound guy and I was telling him how my tour support dropped out, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'll go on tour with you. I was like, yeah, right. So like, kind of interviewed each other for like an hour, and then the next day, like, you know, like I got his contact. The next day we got in contact, and like he's like, yo man, I'm ready. I was like, so I go, and then like we go pick him up. He's got his bags ready, and everything. I was like, all right, Ben, let's do this, man. Like,
you're here.
Exactly, you know. So and ever since then, like,
awesome.
it's been going good, you know.
Nice.
To the point where like he learned a lot in a quick amount of time, and like. You know, so then we hit to the point where, like, because I was booking that alone, so some cities weren't even booked yet as we're going, right? So we're like, so then I kind of, you know, showed him this and that, and then gave him the tools, and he's like, and he's doing it. So then this year, you know, I made him my partner, man. That's it, you know. So it just mattered being at the right place at the right time, you know, and just being on the same mindset and having the same goals. That, you know, teamwork makes the dream work, man.
It does.
You know
what I'm saying?
For sure. So since then, like. I'm just, it gives you more confidence that, hey man, like we could pull anything off at this point.
Absolutely. And I think I've always wanted to, I've seen him perform and dance at shows, but never be the show or in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And to see him go from, like, it's the consistency. I was telling my buddy about it before, right? I was like, dude, I've seen him at 3 p.m. and done a show with him at like 8 or 10 at night for the podcast. And it's consistent, but it's not so much, to me, it's the energy is consistent, but his attitude doesn't, it's not a front. I mean, he's not making it up.
True.
That's real. That's him at 6 a.m. Yeah. That's him at 11 at night. Like, that's literally how he is. It's the consistency.
Oh, the thrive, man. The thrive. And it's mind-blowing sometimes, because, like, he'll motivate me. All right, rise and shine, Jones. Let's go. Get into this morning. I was like,
let's go.
Let's do it.
You're like, well, he's not.
I'll make some coffee. Let's go, bro.
Of course, Mom made coffee, dude. His mom's coffee is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I love it, dude. I love it. But, yeah, that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild, though. To see how you guys kind of, like, made it, and you can tell that your work together has paid off.
So yeah, for
really
sure.
Cool
like you're saying, you know, like, our styles blend, and we both host the show, and you know, we balance each other out, you know. So whenever there's a dull moment at this point, well, he'll jump in, and like whenever like he's busy, he's doing something, well, I'll jump in, and just like, okay, up next, you know. So it's like we really have a good balance going on, you know.
Yeah, I was talking to you guys a bit before it, and so last night I was like, you guys are solid. I'm like, this is like, you guys are entertaining, performing well, the songs are really, like, I'm enjoying the songs, every one of them, and I'm engaged when you're yelling like, ayo, I'm like yelling it back, you know, and it was awesome. But some local talent, in my opinion, you guys could agree or disagree, or have your own, it's fine. Sometimes it's tricky, I can imagine, to deal with like the local talent. And what's it like working with them and having people come to the show last minute without having to prepare? How do you kind of manage that so it doesn't take away from you guys' performances?
Yeah, I know what you mean about that, and sometimes it can be tricky. We've learned to adapt to multiple situations, but obviously there's always a new situation that'll arise, and we're like, hey, okay, let's deal with this now. Like, you know, just some people are just irrational, or some people are just too drunk, or like. So definitely, it's a bit difficult, and we were just talking about that yesterday. It's like, hey man, like some of these people should just like not have them on the show because they're not like up to par with, you know. They make us look bad in a sense, you know. But,
yeah, and that's always something you don't want to have.
Yeah, you know, but there's a lot of different variables, you know. Like obviously people are getting drunk, and we want. There's like you know, the trifecta. We say, you know, we gotta, you know, we want the crowd to be happy, we want the artist to be happy, we want the venue to be happy. Obviously, we're trying to have a good show and to get paid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I mean, if all those come to effect, you know, come together, then okay, it's been a successful night, right? But I mean, obviously, just sometimes it's a little bit loose because I know the edges are loose sometimes, so. We got to cope with that and deal with that, but yeah, obviously, like we learn as we go. And the first tour that I booked was obviously the hardest because I'm paving the road, right, and it's making all the new connections, and meeting all these people. But once thoughts have been established, then you know we learn to weed out which ones not to get the next time. You know, so we're like. The first time around, I was just doing it, whatever. Okay,
it's
cool.
A learning experience.
Yeah, now like we're taking notes, and we're like, okay, this guy. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I saw him with the notepad too.
This guy, he's got.
You guys
he's got it on point, man, for sure. Yeah. He's got it down to a science, you know. So that's just great.
Do you have a best or worst? We'll do both, but best experience working with a local talent, like people who would just show up, or you have them perform on a local show just somewhere, say in like Regina or something, and you're like, yo, come on, and they just kill it. They body the whole thing, they're really good, and like it elevates the show.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want that stands out to you?
Well, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm not gonna play favorites here, but like, but you know, like obviously, you know, some people that we'll book them last second and they'll bring like 20 people, and we're like, oh my god, and it's like, and they do a killer performance, and it's like it's just mind blowing sometimes because you wouldn't expect that out of that person, right? Sometimes you know, that's where the saying comes, like, don't judge a book by its cover, right? And that's true in a lot of times because you should never underestimate anybody because, like I was saying earlier, like anyone's got the potential to do anything if they just put their mind to it and they just you know believe in themselves. So that's, you know. But yeah, there's quite a bit that are pulling their own end, and I feel that it's a little bit unfortunate because I feel like Canada is very underdeveloped as a music scene or music industry. The music industry in Canada is very underdeveloped as opposed to the States, right?
Oh yeah.
Because there's so much talent that should be exploited in these towns and in these provinces in this country, I should say, you know, and I feel like everything's just focused on the States, right? Or if you want to make it, then you have to go to the States or whatnot, you know. So I truly realize that touring across Canada, that is a big thing, you know. And someone that'd be smart would just like has a lot of money or a big record label, which should go scout out these artists, you know. That's what I'm thinking. But obviously that's not the case. So like, you know, like when I was starting out, these opportunities weren't knocking on my door. So I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna go create these opportunities. I'm gonna go do it myself.
Build the door yourself.
That's it, you know. So that's pretty much it. And then, you know, by booking these shows, and I have a lot of these artists, it's actually their first time performing, and sometimes they're great artists, and like I remember my first time performing, I was like super nervous and like I might have messed up, you know. But some people, it's their first time performing and they blow it out the park. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Nice.
And then they come thank me after, like, yo, thanks, man. Like it's my first time performing, you know. And I just feel so blessed to be able to give them that opportunity because nobody ever hit me up and my DMs like, hey man, you want to perform? Like, no, it wasn't like that when I started out, right? Like, but obviously, like, it does evolve, and there is a lot more opportunities now as opposed to before. I mean, when I was growing up, there wasn't no Facebook and stuff like that. You know, there was, but I mean, like, at a later age.
Yeah,
right?
It's not what it is now.
Yeah,
not
you know,
close.
so everything's it's
very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's funny, and I was talking about this yesterday with my buddy Rogan about it, because you said judging a book by its cover. I try everything in my power, even though it is human nature, unfortunately, to not judge a book by its cover, right? Looking at you both, like, between his, like, vibrant personality, and just the way he is, the way he presents himself, and same with, like, you, the way you're dressed, like, your tattoos and everything, you both have a very intelligent approach to what you're doing. And I learned that as I talk to you guys. I'm like, oh, man. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
He might be like crazy out there, but dude, he knows what he's doing. He's a very smart guy.
Oh,
he's got his
100%.
finger on the pulse, and you as well. And you guys performing, I'm like, they know exactly what they're doing. They have the right approach. They're going about everything. They're doing it so well, and I'm intrigued, and I like to watch not just like what you're both doing when you're not the one performing. It's like, what are you doing? Well, you're always behind the table, right? You're always behind the table. You're always working music, producing everything. Like, this guy's like, he's on it. It shows you know all your areas of the music business, and then seeing that is sick.
True, yeah. Like I said, like where I'm lacking a bit, well, he'll pull through. Like, I'm not so much like a people person. And like, look at me, I'm not really easy. People aren't just gonna approach me. They're gonna think I'm gonna stab them in the neck with a soldering iron. You know what I mean? But like, that's supposed to him. He's like super bubbly, happy, and he goes to talk to everyone. He's got a suit on, you know, and he's like greeting everyone. So like, at the same time, well, I'm doing the music, so I don't really have time to do that, you know. So it's like everything just kind of pans out the right way, you know. So yeah, 100%. Like, I think it's a good recipe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like from the first moment when I spoke to you, I was like, all right, like this, like you're very articulate with what you're saying, and you know what you want to say. And I'm like, man, this is gonna be a good show. Like, I was like, you guys got it. That was sick. And I was just grateful to be able to document it for you guys. And like, I got really good angles of you.
Thanks.
And then I got like, here's the thing. I was telling my buddy, I was like, man, I like it when you guys don't, like, you perform in the same, I can stand in an area and have you in the same frame. Him, not so much, right? He's in one end, he's doing push-ups down here. He's over here in the crowd. He's on that end. I'm just like, just stay stable, bro. Just stay stable.
I'm trying to
like,
say
it was the funniest
photos
thing,
too, right? Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. But, oh yeah, no, that's a blast. Do you have a worst experience you can think of? What comes to mind when it comes with working with local talent?
Worst in local town. I mean, obviously it sucks when artists drop out and they don't hit you. They don't let you know about it, you know. But like now, when we see these problems, we try to make sure they don't reoccur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, at first when I was doing this, it was really tough to do everything. But like that's what I'm saying. Kind of like, well, he's gonna go micromanage a lot of these shows, and he's gonna go check up on all these artists and like see, hey, how much of you sell? You're still coming? You know, what's going on? You know, so like, because. You know, if you're just one person, you can't have time to do all that stuff, right? So it's great that we're dividing the tasks like evenly, and but like in terms of having like a bad, I mean, there's one time there was an opener in Thunder Bay. He like Superman punched a guy in the crowd.
What the?
Yeah, right off the stage.
Middle of his.
And then like a riot broke out, chairs are flying, and then like, okay, cops come, everyone leaves, like. Okay, so we're packing up.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty
man.
You know? So we're packing up, everything leaves. And after that, like, I'm just packing up, and then I guess like the kid that got punched with his father came back.
Oh no.
And then like he tapped me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and he just sucker punches me.
No.
He's like, that rapper, right? That, you know, because I guess his son said like, oh, the rapper, you know, but like. I was like the guy, you know, like the host, and you know,
Yeah,
so I was like, all
you're
the
not
guys,
hitting anybody, man.
you know, yeah. So I got caught in the crossfire after the fact, you know.
Ugh.
So he split my lip, and then like he ran out, and then like I go inside and he's like, there's cops everywhere, and he's knocking around. I was like, okay, well, it's what it is, man. Like, but yeah, that wasn't the greatest experience.
Yeah, definitely.
That's off the top of my head, right? But
what?
There's other things for sure, you know.
Like the guy, like you're saying, in the middle of performing his set.
His set, yeah.
He just
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What the?
I guess I think like the exchange words or something. I didn't, you know, like I can't really know everything that's going on all at the same time, right? So that's pretty much what I pieced together, right? So, so that was a fairly bad experience.
Yeah.
There's one time there's a guy that got arrested in Kamloops during the set. So that was kind of like, oh my god, what's going on?
Like middle.
Well, it was like he was about to perform, and the cops came in. And he had like a warning.
What?
He wasn't supposed to be at the bar because of conditions, right? But after he convinced the cops, he's like, "Yo, my name's on the poster. I'm working here. You know, I'm actually at work. You know." So like, they let him do his set, and then everything was good
They
after.
just watched the show. And the cops in them.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's wild, dude. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's good though that there's only like they're few and far between. It seems like, right? It's not like a frequent thing. It's like, why is everybody all of a sudden fighting at this tour? No.
True. Well, like I said, there's certain things we try to avoid. You know, so now sometimes we'll be, hey, you guys have security. You know, like if something happens, like we need to be assured that like there's
a couple
someone taking care of it, right?
Neutral.
Yeah, you know, so.
Nice.
So live and learn, right? It's all in the process. So you think you know everything, well you don't, because there's always new stuff that's gonna new situations that are gonna arise, and you just gotta deal with it accordingly, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's good. Oh man, those are great. Those are really great. That's kind of what I was thinking, because I'm just picturing the layout. And I picture the stage, and then I picture other people, and there's like almost that line of you don't cross it, right? For either side. Like you're the performer, don't cross it, and vice versa.
True.
I could be wrong depending on how you guys perform and how you guys prefer. You know, like if you're performing, don't cross, but afterwards, like, hey, cool, you know, it's your show. But I'm wondering then if there's any advice, or you speak with all the people before and say, hey, like, here's the advice I have for you to do this show. But if you do, what advice do you have to people who, let's say, are going to come perform for the first time? Whether it be at your show or in general, somebody reaches out to you and goes, hey, I need some advice. I'm going to go perform with these people who know their shit. What do you tell them?
Well, obviously to rehearse their music. You know, I mean, we've had problems where people drink too much and stuff, so I mean, those are definitely things that we should maybe incorporate into saying, you know. It's just a copy paste, you know, and every message you just send it to all of them. Yeah, you know, but there's definitely guidelines, you know. Like, just in terms of performance, well, obviously, you know, you have to be confident, and, you know, if you're asking me to give them advice, is that what you're saying? Yeah. Well, you know, obviously, if they mess up, well, to pretend like they didn't, and just to, you know, to recover, because people can sense that right away. As soon as you say, "Oh, I fucked up," well, then everyone's gonna know.
It shuts them off.
Yeah, that's it. And then automatically they're turned down, right? So, it's just to be confident, and obviously to rehearse, you know. And if you mess up, just pretend like you did it, or freestyle, or just hype up the crowd. Everybody say, "Whoa!" You know,
and then get your wherewithal.
That's it, right? I mean, it still happens to me. I still mess up sometimes, but you just gotta learn, you know, how to take off. Like, you know, that's what it is. Like, example, like I skateboard, right? So, eventually you kind of learn to fall. You know, I mean, tuck and roll, man. You know, like that's what it is. So eventually you just don't get hurt from falling after a while, because you learn how to fall. So. So I guess it's kind of like it correlates to that.
Like, you know you're gonna mess up, or you know you're gonna fall. Get good at not falling too bad.
Get good at messing up.
Get good at making mistakes.
Yeah, well.
That's smart. That's a good way to think about it, for sure.
Get good at cleaning up your mistakes, covering your own ass. You know, that's basically what it comes down to, right? That's just anything in life. You just gotta cover your ass, man.
Yeah, like there are a few. Yeah, there are definitely a few performances where I'm like, oh, they messed up, but I didn't know. I didn't hear the mess up. until they're like, oh, I fucked up. I'm like, oh, well, you did now.
Yeah, because you said it, right?
And I'm like, no, and then you can kind of tell as soon as they admit it to the crowd, the crowd gives an energy, and then, whereas, like, I don't even know if you guys messed up. You could have.
Yeah, you know, some cities are different. Some crowds are different. Every crowd's different. Every city's different, right? And yeah, it's almost like it's, you know, it's almost like an art to size up the crowd and to know, you know, how they are. And at the same time that we figured out that this is partially our duty. Like now we went ahead and we downloaded, like, we literally sat there for 4 hours and downloaded a bunch of different types of music. You know, to, you know, hype up the crowd, or to, like, to calm them down, or to, you know what I mean? To control the crowd a little bit, just by the music, right? Yeah.
Smart, I noticed that.
So, but I mean, we didn't think about these things. These are things we sit down, we brainstorm, and we just, you know, eventually it all throws into the recipe, right?
I would have never thought of that. It makes so much sense. That's why certain songs are played at certain times, depending on who's coming up next, or what the...
True, yeah. Like yesterday, there was the guy playing guitar. Yeah. I think we start off with Sweet Home Alabama, and then we performed, and we had the Old Town Road, so it's kind of like the fusion between, you know, hip-hop and, you know...
and then carries that on to the more hip-hop focused performances, and then...
True.
Smart. Very smart. Do you guys have, or you specifically, what's your performance day routine like, if you have one? Like, do you have, like, a set of habits that you do that prepare you for a successful one? Because you probably know what you've done in the past that's been a shit performance, and you're like, well, you obviously reflect on your performances, I can imagine, here and there.
Yeah, talking about performance. Well, I mean, like, I'm not just an artist. Like, I'm so much more. And
yeah, absolutely.
And so obviously we got to go there. I'm doing the whole technical aspect. I'm the DJ for the night.
Yep.
I'm the audio technician for the night. So I'm setting up. Obviously everything's got to be set up properly. I like to show up early, 2 hours early. You know. Sometimes you know, the venue owner's not there till later, so then obviously it sucks when you get there and it's close. Yeah, exactly. So that, and then the people are already there, so then they're talking, and then you're taking less time, so you get a little bit of this anxiety. So we just try to avoid that altogether and go there early, prepared, you know. So set up, everything's smooth. The people arrive and the vibe's already set. You know, everything's already set up. So that's definitely the best way to go about it. So this brings the anxiety down. And then in terms of performance, well, I mean, like, I've done this set numerous times. So, like, I already kind of have an idea, like
that mental checklist almost.
Yeah, exactly, of what I'm going to say before what song, and between this one song, what I'm going to say. And obviously what you want to try to do is you know, get the crowd to relate, or you're trying to bring them into your life and to get to know you a little bit more, and you know, to get to know who you are a little bit more again. And I find that's very important to connect with them a bit, you know. And so this way they're going to collaborate, or they're going to, you know, cooperate when you ask them to do something. Everybody say, hey, then they'll do it, you know, like, because they vibe with you, you know. And a lot of times you just gotta be real, and they sense that, you know.
So, yeah, how many hours would you say you have total? Because I know, like, just in the music biz, let's say, because I know there's that old Outliers quote where it's like 10,000 hours is like you've achieved world class in whatever you're doing, right? That could be in, like, engineering or art, in painting, or, like, musician, performing. How many hours would you say roughly? Yeah, between, like, beginning from, like, not just consuming music, but, like, starting to craft your own sound.
Wow. I mean, I'm 32, 33 now, actually. I just had my birthday November 4th.
Yeah, that's right. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so I've pretty much been doing music since I'm 16, 15. But, like, you know, really, you know, it all depends, you know. Like I said, I'm not just one thing. I do many things. Yeah, I'm tour manager as well, you know. I just named off a couple things, right? But, like, I couldn't say that I've done, what do you say, 100,000 hours?
10,000.
10,000. I don't think I've done 10,000 being tour manager yet, but, like, we're getting close to there, right? But, like, obviously a very long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but as an artist, yeah, I've been writing and I've been recording for quite a long time. But sometimes it's hard to just focus on one, right? Like just focus as an artist.
Yeah.
So I feel like by doing these tours, then we're gonna be building a bigger team and a more solid team to people who have the same, you know, like-minded people and have the same goals, right? So then eventually the team's gonna get bigger. So this way the task could be divided more. Like I'm doing all the posters and stuff too, like on my apps on my phone. And it's like, okay, well, someone else could be doing that. I could be concentrating on just being an artist, you know what I mean? Or like setting up the tours. Well, someone else could be doing that. I could just be concentrating, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of just trying to concentrate as an artist. But obviously, I want to tour. I want to do everything, right? So So as I go along, I'm going to meet people who are like worth it, and people that are dedicated, and people who want to, you know, get on the bus, on the winning bus, and you know, see the vision, right?
Yeah.
So eventually, like, that's you know, eventually it's gonna happen, man. You know what I'm saying? Just what time?
Absolutely.
Just what time, right?
Absolutely, bro.
Like I see where things are going, and they usually end up going there, right? Like I have a vision. I usually I
mean, it seems to have worked out so far, right? Like you
doesn't happen overnight, though, man.
No,
doesn't happen overnight, man.
No kidding, man. That's I think that first of all, the name Almost Famous for the tour I think is genius because it's like you're like knocking on the door.
Yeah, true.
Soon, so I'm excited to see it where there's like you got your face plastered, Mista Jones plastered on a tour bus. You got your 6 to 8 people on your team. All on their laptops, just on the in the tour bus.
Right?
You guys are in Thunder Bay on your way to Winnipeg. You're just punching in.
Hey Gary, we just booked a new show. Yeah. All right. Here's a flyer. You know, you know what I mean?
got the flyer design. You got like all right. You got your set, and then this way you at that point you'll have the artist with you, right? So you guys will have that structure. Right? You're not like I don't know how often at that point you'd be booking talent locally, or you think you'd always still do it?
Well, I mean, obviously. Because we're obviously booking the tour and we're booking the shows and we're booking ours, we're booking everything, right? Yeah. So, like eventually, we could just deal with promoters in every individual city, you know.
Right.
But so then at that point they take care of that. Then we just get like a flat check. You know what I mean? So even before we step foot in, even before we get in the car to drive there, we already have at least like half the money up front, right?
Right.
And contract signed and everything, you know. So.
Safer doing it that way, especially.
With the contracts, 100%.
Yeah.
But like, you know, people need to believe in you first, and people need to know who you are in order to, you know, to flex on. Like, hey man, I'm worth this much, you know, pay me this. It's like, who are you, bud? Like, I'm not trying to pay you any money, man. Like, how about you sell tickets for my shows? You know what I mean? Like,
you come to my place, people know where.
Sometimes you're booking artists, and you're like, yeah, man, no, we don't sell tickets. We want to get paid. And we're like, well, you can get paid if you sell, you know. Cause a lot of
6 listeners on Spotify. Are
a
they
lot,
all gonna be there?
A lot, yeah, right. A lot of these artists, man, like a lot of these promoters, they're doing as what they call as a pay to play, where they gotta pay the tickets up front and to be able to perform, you know, to solidify their spot on their show. And you know, at the first, that's the recipe that I learned, so that's what I was doing. And then after that, I was like, you know what, man, a lot of people are complaining. I'm like, you know what, I think right off the bat, we're going to do a 50-50 split on the tickets. This way everyone gets a chance to make money. If they don't make money, well, they are to blame themselves because they didn't put in the legwork, right?
Yeah, you put them in that perspective. You can give me 10 tickets, but if I go, I'm just going to hold on to them, and then last minute, it's like, no, I'm going to, like, hey, you hit up like a bunch of people.
Bring your 10 friends, man. Let's have a party, man. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? You get $100, and $100 come back to the show, you know? That's the fairest way to do it. You know, but some artists, they're just, some I guess they're more developed, and they're like, no, we don't do that, man. Like, we just want to get paid straight up. But then it goes to what you're saying, okay, well, we go peek his credentials, like, next, you know, let's go to the next guy.
And you guys don't have the time or don't want to waste the time, especially probably just like back and forth. Come on, well, you got your 10, well, I'll bring 10 people. We don't, it's like, dude, you got a show to do.
Like, it's okay to believe in yourself, but to be, like, egotistical. And,
can't be arrogant about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel that people with that mentality, it puts sticks in their wheels, and it doesn't allow them to advance as quickly as... Because, you know what? When I first started out, I was doing showcases in Toronto, and I was driving up there in a rental car, and then like I paid the tickets out of my pocket. I did the pay to play for like a year, and people are like, "Why are you doing that? You're wasting your money." I'm like, "Well, bro, you're sitting at home playing video games. I'm here networking with these people. Like, sure, I'm paying, but for me, it's an investment. You know, people have different mentality, and they're trying to shut you down. But
you're investing in yourself and what you believe in.
When I have a vision, you know, then I believe. You have to believe in your vision, and then I make connections, and that's how I started opening for. That's how I got on those tours, you know, with Matt Child and stuff like that, right? So that's what it is, man. At the end of the day, it's just your motivation, how much you're about it, you know.
Nice. All right, brother. Well, we can wrap it up then.
Sounds good, man.
But before we do, where can people find your banging tunes?
Well,
I don't know. Plug it. Real quick.
Well, you can check it out on all digital platforms, obviously. Mr. Jones. On Instagram, it's MrJones.ig. You spell that Mista Jones. Spotify, everything. On YouTube, you can check out my single 24/7. It's about to blow up.
I really like it. That helps.
Appreciate it. It's super fun performing. But I appreciate you having me, man, 100%, man.
Dude, I appreciate it.
It was great, man.
Yeah, man, I
For real.
appreciate it.
I love
You
the
guys.
questions. You're really good at what you do, man.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot, especially because I know you've done this quite a few times. And keep doing your thing, brother. Keep doing your music. I enjoy it. You're fanning me. You're fanning me now, especially. And keep doing your thing, man. It's only going to go up. It's only going to go up. Thank you, guys. All his links will be in the description below. And we'll see you later.
Stay blessed. Be safe. Stay hydrated.